Hi folks, hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. We're looking at this book, and we're looking at the birth of Jesus. When was Jesus born? It was no earlier than 6 BC, because Luke says that Jesus was about 30 when he began his ministry, around AD 27-28, and no later than 4 BC, because that's when Herod the Great died. Incidentally, we have no real way of knowing the date of Jesus' birth. I don't agree with that. We can gauge the birth of Jesus when he was born, which I'll tell you about in a minute. It was Constantine, the first Christian Roman emperor, who ruled in AD 336. The 25 December was celebrated as Christ's birthday, a date chosen to replace a pagan midwinter festival. Both Matthew and Luke state that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, a small town about 8 kilometers, 5 miles to the southwest of Jerusalem. Although Mary and Joseph lived in Nazareth, their presence in Bethlehem explained as being due to a census ordered by Caesar Augustus that required registration at ancestral town. So I want to pick up on a few things there. A couple of things. First of all, people will say Quirinius was not around at the time of this Augustus census. That's the first thing. I think there is strong evidence to suggest that he was. First of all, there's a debate about it, so when the skeptics are confident, there's no one's dogmatic about who was the governor in the area at this time. Secondly, we found coins of Quirinius around about this time in this area that show that he was the top man of that area. Now, often there were two governors, so it could be that there were two governors at that time. The other thing as well, this area where Jesus lived and moved around was very important militarily for Augustus. He liked to keep control of his army, and this area was very important. It was also a very volatile area, so he would send in his main guy who was able to deal with problems and make sure the army was in control. So Quirinius would have been, who was a war hero, would have been ideal for that. So it's highly probable that Quirinius was the governor. Alright, that's the strong evidence from what I've discerned in my own historical research. The second thing about the census, a lot of people say there was no worldwide census. The thing is that a census, that Augustus was an extremely wealthy man. Extremely wealthy. He was so wealthy he paid for many a town, city for their staff to be paid, for their armies to be paid, etc. He was that wealthy. Where did he get that wealth from? He got that wealth from tax. You don't get tax unless you know what your people are and who your people are. So it's highly likely that he had a worldwide census. Evidence suggests that there was a census done in Egypt and other censuses done in other countries as well. That could have been, there's no direct proof, but there's proof that there were these censuses, and that would have made up the overall picture of what was going on. Some people have questioned the registration at an ancestral town, as if that would be crazy. The Jews kept documents of their family's history. The Romans would have used that to their advantage to get tax. They'd know who lives where, why they live, where they've moved, etc. They would use that documentation, so it's perfectly reasonable. So there we are. So we just looked at the birth of Jesus. The other issues about the birth of Jesus, skeptics will say, well, Luke and Matthew disagree with each other. Luke and Matthew are looking at it from a different perspective and will leave out material or put in material that they think is important, and it's as simple as that, so there's no discrepancy there. Alright?